Hello everyone, my name is Sakshi and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today in this video we will see what is the data warehouse. I covered all the data warehouse concept in this video which will help you to crack your interview on the data warehouse. So guys, I am 100% sure if you go through this video you no need to do any extra preparation. You will easily crack the interview on the data warehouse. So I will cover in this video like what is the data warehouse, what is the difference between the data warehouse and database, what is the data warehouse modeling, what is the data warehouse and the data mart, how we can process the data, then what is the fact constellation, means what is the galaxy schema, what is the difference between fact and dimension, then what is the star schema, snowflake schema, what is the difference between them, what is the advantages, disadvantages of star and snowflake schema, then why we need the separate data warehouse, what is the difference between OLTP and the OLAP, and what are the types of the fact and dimension table, what is the factless fact tables, data mining and surrogate key. So we will see everything one by one. So majorly I have created the diagram so you will not get bored because this is all theory part. So this is the so first we understand what is the data warehouse. So data warehouse, this is the definition of the data warehouse. What is the subject, what is the integrated, it is nothing but the subject oriented, integrated, non-volatile and time variant. So subject oriented means it is organized around the major subjects like sales, customers or product. Integrated means data is collected from different sources and combined into the cohesive format. Then in non-volatile, data is stable and does not change once it is entered into the warehouse. In the time variant means historical data is stored to allow for analysis over a different type of periods. Then what is the database and the data warehouse? So in the database, it is used to design the record and the transactional processing, but in the data warehouse, it is designed to analytical processing. Database contain the data from the single source, but in the data warehouse, we have the multiple sources. So database store the current operational data, but dataware store the historical and the large amount of data. In the database, the data is updated frequently in periodically, but in the data warehouse, data updated frequently and continuously in real time. In database, table and joins of database are complex as they are normalized, but in data warehouse, it is denormalized. So in database, file format will be the Parquet and ORC files, but in data warehouse, it is row based file format like CSV, TSV, JSON file. So this is also the interview question guys, what is the difference between the database and data warehouse. Next is the data warehouse modeling. So first we will get the external sources system we can say, then the ETL tool we are using here. After that data warehouse stage comes into the picture and then data mart. So as per the business logic we'll fetch the data into the data mart. So I covered the project flow in next slide. We will see in detail in the next slide. After that BI tools means reporting tools. So this is also the common interview question. What is the difference between the data warehouse and the data mart? So data warehouse is the top down model and data mart is the bottom up model. In data warehouse, fact constellation schema means galaxy schema we can use in the data warehouse, but in data mart we are using the star schema and snowflake schema. In data warehouse is the data oriented, but data mart is the project oriented. In data warehouse, data are contained in detailed form, but in data mart, data are contained in summarized form. So size of the data in the data warehouse is 1 TB plus because we are storing the huge number of data, and in data mart it's only the 100 GB or less than that. Then in data warehouse, the time it takes to implement data warehouse might be range from months to year, but in data mart deployment procedure is time limited to few months. It collects the data from the various data sources in data warehouse, but in data mart we are generally stores the data from data warehouse. Now this is the process of loading the data. So this is our project flow, we can say, in real time. So in data source means we will get the sources from the different sources we will get here. After that, the staging area. In staging area we are doing the cleansing our data, which is truncate and load. After that, ODS layer, operational data store, ODS means. So we are this is the data warehouse complete till the data mart house. We are performing our operations here, like in the ODS we are performing the historical data, or we are using the transformations here. After that, in data mart, as per the business logic, we are fetching the data into the data mart. And after that, the reporting tool we are using here, Power BI or whatever it is. So this is not our part. Okay, this is the data warehouse. Next is the fact constellation in data warehousing model. So fact constellation is nothing but the Galaxy schema, is a way to organize the data in data warehouse. It involves using the multiple fact tables which store the measure or the matrix that share a common dimension table which store related information like dates, product or the location. You can see here, this is the common dimension table and this is the separate dimension table, but the fact table is using here. So Galaxy schema, where each star schema means fact table is connected to by shared attribute to the dimension table. This setup help to analyze different parts of business together, and the Galaxy schema are useful for handling the large and the complex data set. So what is the difference between the fact and dimension? This is also the common interview question. So in the fact table, it contains measurable and quantitative data. In dimension, it is descriptive and categorical data. In fact table, it is frequently updated. For example, it updated daily, hourly. But in dimension, it is less frequently updated. It will be updated monthly or yearly. It is depend. In fact, this is more record than dimension table. In dimension, there is less record than fact table. Fact table form a vertical table, while dimension table form a horizontal table. In the fact table, it comes after dimension table, while dimension table come before the fact table. So this is also the interview question, guys, like which table is loaded first, dimension table or fact table. So here is the answer. It is also used for the analysis purpose and decision making. And dimension table, the main task of the dimension table is to store the information about the business and its process. So you can see this is the star schema diagram I have drawn here. So in middle you can see this is the fact table and this is the finance table. We can consider finance table, and this is nothing but the star schema. This is dimension table of the fact table. So you can see in the fact table there are all the foreign key of the in the dimension table there are all the primary key. Okay. So in dimension table the fact table is using the key of the dimension table, so we can call it as a foreign key. So you can see account ID is primary key in this dimension table. This is the account table. This is the transaction dimension table where the primary key is transaction ID. This is the customer table, customer dimension table where the customer ID is primary key. And this is the date table which date ID is using. So we are taking all these IDs into the ID column into the fact table, which is considered as a foreign key. Now in Snowflake schema, you can see the number of the dimension table is increases. Okay, and it looks like the snow, that is called that's why it is called the Snowflake schema. So in Snowflake schema, you can see the fact table here and sub dimension tables are there. So you can see these four are the main dimension tables like date table, account dimension table, transaction dimension table customer. But you can see this is the dimension table, date dimension table, and the sub dimension table are created from this dimension table only. So you can see from the month ID, if you check, the date ID is primary key here and month ID is foreign key. So we are taking this month ID in sub dimension table as a primary key, and we are taking another column name, that is the month name. Same we did for the customer. So you can see here customer ID. We are taking this customer ID in the sub dimension table. So it is considered as my primary key, and main dimension table ID is considered as a foreign key. So this is nothing but the Snowflake schema. We'll get more dimension table and sub dimension table in Snowflake schema. Now let's understand what is the difference between the star schema and Snowflake schema. So this is also the interview question. The star schema is the simplest data warehouse schema. Snowflake schema is more complex data warehouse model than star schema. In star schema, each of the dimension is represented in a single table. It should not have any hierarchy between dimensions. But in Snowflake schema, at least one hierarchy should exist between the dimension tables. Like this, means here one dimension table and there is a hierarchy, means sub-dimension table. But in star schema, there is no sub-dimensional schema or no sub-dimensional table, and there is no hierarchy. If the dimension table are denormalized, we say it is star schema, and if it is normalized, then it is called as a Snowflake schema. A star schema optimizes the performance by keeping the query simple and providing fast response time. All the information about each level is stored in one row. In Snowflake schema, normalize dimension to eliminate the redundancy. The result is more complex query and reduce the query performance. It has the less number of foreign key in star schema, but in Snowflake schema, it has the more number of foreign keys. Next, in this slide, we will cover the advantages of star schema. The advantage of star schema, it is simpler design, easy to understand, query performance is also high, and improve the performance. But the disadvantages is redundancy, means can lead to data redundancy due to denormalized structure. Then maintenance, updating the dimension tables can be more complex and error. When to use star schema? When the customer wants the data quickly and easily without creating simpler. So advantages of star schema, it is simpler design, easy to understand, implement, faster query performance, efficient for read operation due to fewer joins, and improve the performance, means optimize for query large data sets. Disadvantages is redundancy, maintenance is high. So this is also the one of interview question, guys, when we use the star schema. So when the customer wants the data quickly and easily without creating multiple joins, then query performance is the top priority. Data redundancy will not be an issue. In this scenario, you can use the star schema. Then advantages of the Snowflake schema, normalized structure it is providing, data redundancy, then data integrity. And disadvantages means we are having the complex query in the Snowflake schema. Slower performance can result in slower query performance because of the normalized structure. And when we use the Snowflake schema is useful when you need to minimize data redundancy and ensure data integrity in your data warehouse. This schema is particularly beneficial when query performance is not the highest priority and when detailed normalized data structure are required for accurate analysis and reporting purpose. In that scenario, you can use the snowflake schema. Next, we'll see why need separate data warehouse. So we need a separate data warehouse to efficiently store, manage and analyze the large volume of data from multiple sources, enabling the better business intelligence and decision making. It optimizes the query performance and allows the historical data. Even you can't combine data from multiple business functions easily if they sit in different sources. That's why we need the data warehouse. Now let's understand what is the difference between OLTP and OLAP. So in OLTP handle the large volume of short online transaction, but in OLAP handle large volume of historical data. OLTP is the application oriented and it is used for the business tasks, and OLAP is the subject oriented. It is used for the data mining, analytics and the decision making. In OLTP database, table are normalized and here table are not normalized in OLAP. In OLTP, we are insert, update and delete operation we can perform, and in OLAP, we can perform the aggregation, analysis and query. The size of data is relatively small as the historical data is archived in MB and GB in OLTP, but in OLAP, the large amount of data is stored typically in TB and PB. So in the OLTP, we will get the current and up-to-date data. In OLAP, we will get the historical and aggregate data. So this is most asked interview question. What is the difference between OLTP and OLAP? Then we can see the types of fact table. So there are mainly three types of the fact table: additive fact table, semi-additive fact table and non-additive. So in additive means what? The additive facts are the facts that can be summed up through all the dimensions in fact table. In semi-additive facts are the facts that can be summed up for some of the dimension in the fact table but not the other. And in non-additive, facts cannot be summed up for any other dimensions present in the fact table. Now the types of the dimension tables. So there are many types of the dimension table like confirmed dimension table, role playing dimension table, degenerated dimension table, ACD tables and junk dimensions. So we'll see one by one. Comfort dimension is nothing but it is shared across multiple fact table or data mart within a data warehouse. For example, date dimension is used by both sales and inventory fact tables. Now if we talk about the role-playing dimension, it is a single physical table used in the different contexts with the data warehouse. It is implemented by creating multiple arrays of same dimension table. Example, a date dimension used as order date, ship date and invoice date. Now in degenerated dimension attributes stored in fact table itself without a separate dimension table. Typically, it is used for attributes that do not need a full dimension table. For example, invoice number or transaction IDs. Now if we are talking about the slowly changing dimension, I have already covered this in detail in my videos. Perform the ACD type 1, 2 and 3, and I have provided the many different approaches, multiple methods. You can see my videos on my YouTube channel regarding ACD types. So there are several types of ACDs, type 0 to type 6. So type 0 is nothing but no change allowed, that is static. Type 1 override old data with the new data, means no history is updated, we will get only the updated record. Create a new record for each change, means full history. We will get the historical data as well as updated record. In type 3, add new attribute column to capture changes, means we will get the limited history in type 3. In type 4, use a separate history table to capture the changes. And in type 6, it is a combination of the type 1, type 2 and type 3, means we can see the hybrid approach. Now let's talk about the junk dimension. Junk dimension combines several low cardinality attributes into a single dimension table. It reduces the number of foreign key in the fact table. For example, combining flag and indicator like yes and no attributes. Now understand what is the factlex fact tables, data mining and surrogate key. So factlex fact table, this is the interview question guys, what is the factlex fact table? So it captures many to many relationships between dimensions and does not contain numeric fact column in fact table. For example, we are tracking the student attendance or registration events. Data mining. Data mining in data warehouse means finding important patterns and the information from large amount of stored data. It helps business understand their data better and smarter decision. Surrogate key. This is also the interview question. What is the difference between the surrogate key and the primary key? Surrogate key ensure that each record in dimension table has a unique identifier which help maintain the data integrity and avoid the duplication. Means what guys? If we have the ID column and primary key, this is not the primary key actually. So I mentioned for your understanding. If there is a primary key, it will not allow you for the duplicate records. For example, I have the ID 10 and the name is ABC and address is Pune. But over time of period that address is changed and it will become Mumbai. So primary key will not allow you these duplicate records. That's why we are using surrogate key. So it will give the unique identified number to each records. So that's why we are using surrogate key in SD type. So these all about the data warehouse concept. So guys, I have covered all the concepts. If you have any query, any doubt, please comment me in the comment box. I will try to give you all the answers. And if you feel this video is informative, please like, share and comment on my videos. Thank you.